All right, hello everyone. This is a video I wanted to make for quite some time, and JCF just did one a little over a week ago, and I thought that might motivate me to hurry up and finally do this. But this is a very controversial topic, and it is cheating in Last Day on Earth. So I kind of have my own spin on it that I've never really seen anybody else talk about. So I figure I'll just put this out here for better or for worse. But in case you don't know, Last Day on Earth is a game that is like, I don't know the best way to describe it, but like very sloppily made in this respect. It is very easy to play versions of this that are not at all what is intended. There's different types of doing that, and I'll get into that, but there is quite a lot of people that play this game in a way that you might not be playing. And obviously this is still a kind of a standalone game. You're not really playing with other people for the most part. And the things that you do in this game don't have much of an impact on anybody else currently. So when that changes, when this becomes a real multiplayer game, hopefully they've addressed these issues, because then it's going to be pretty messed up. But for right now, it doesn't hurt anybody if you cheat. It's just up to you, and this is kind of what JCF was talking about. It's like you're just really cheating yourself. If that makes the game boring, that's your fault for cheating. So now I'll get more into that, but you know, it's really like, what is your goal with this game? If your goal is to just play and have fun, then however which way you enjoy playing this game is what you should be doing. There are risks that you can lose your account the more types of things you do in that fashion, so be careful. But you know, this game is about having fun, and just do whatever you think is fun. If your goal is to like brag about it, which is what a lot of people do. People play this game even though it's not a multiplayer game. They'll go onto forums and they'll post this stuff that's so full of crap, and it's like, I see it and I'm like, this guy's obviously doing whatever, and other people are like, no, he's not. It's about, you know, people are really naive. There's a lot of people that cheat. If you type in Last Day on Earth cheat, that's like the second video that comes up, has 368,000 views. That doesn't mean that everybody that's watched that video is cheating, but it's just a very common thing in this game to cheat. And so what is cheating? So that's the main thing to get to. And I would say that there's basically four types of, well, I guess 5 types of people that play this game, and four of them are cheating to some respect, and it depends on who you are, is what category you might fall into. So I would say that the highest level is hackers. So I'm not a really tech savvy guy. I'm probably going to misstate some of this stuff, but you'll get the general idea. There are people that actually hack this game, and they go into the files and they modify things, and they know what they're doing, and they're able to make, you know, strange things happen, have unlimited effects on things, and bring things that are not quite in the game and put them into the game when they're not even supposed to be in the game yet. So those are hackers. And why would you be a hacker? Well, it's just for the fun of hacking a game and like digging into the files. I know like Doomerous knows people, I don't know if he does it himself, that are able to get into the files and see what's there, and that's always interesting. I always enjoy seeing that kind of stuff, so that's pretty cool that people are able to do that. I don't think anybody hacks the game because they do that as a normal method of playing the game. It's just out of curiosity. So, you know, people say hackers bases. I've done that before, but it's, you know, that's what real hacking is supposed to be. Then there's modding, and modding is pretty common in my opinion. There are people who download these APK files. So if you type in Last Day on Earth APK, you'll see once again that there's hundreds of thousands of views. People download these files that basically a hacker created, and you can then have unlimited guns, unlimited coins, unlimited this and that. I never really understood how much connectivity you have to the servers when you're doing that. If you're playing a really standalone version, or you are able to connect to the servers, if they're able to copy your bases and put them in for raids or not. I've kind of heard that you can, so I don't really know all the technical aspects of modding, but there's a lot of people that play modded versions of this, and I don't fully understand the joy of doing that when there's no challenge. I mean, that's basically you've taken the game and made it zero challenge. You don't have to do anything and have everything. So some people just like to do it. Now, that doesn't mean that everybody that plays a modded version or has a modded version is sucks and you have no skills. Some people have modded versions just for the point of testing out the game, finding out the way the mechanics work, and experimenting with guns and stuff, and then they still have a more legitimate version of the game that they play for their enjoyment. So that's what modding is about. And then the number one way I think that tons and tons of people cheat is clearing data. And what that is it's basically exiting the game and deleting a folder that you then replace with an old one that resets the game back to where it was before. And that functions as two different things. One is that it prevents you from ever having to die and lose anything. So that's kind of playing a version of the game that eliminates a lot of the risk. So that's kind of nice. It sucks dying and losing everything. This game is designed to be very hard. So when you die, you lose things, and it hurts. It hurts really bad. And if you clear data, you're avoiding all that pain. So that's kind of a good thing for a lot of people that get frustrated, and you eliminate the risk. The second thing, and this is the kind of the crappier part about it, is it eliminates the RNG in the game. So the luck, the randomness of the items you get is gone. You can basically get whatever you want on the first shot. You have to get it the first time, but after that, the number one item in this game that everybody gets frustrated with is the gas tank. You might get it on the first time you open up that red chest in the red ticket crate in the bunker, or you might have been playing this game since the beginning and still have not got it. It's a crappy system that they have. It makes the game very difficult, very frustrating, but if you clear data, bam, first shot, you got it. You just keep resetting until you get it, and 20 tries later or whatever, you got it, and bam, it's yours. So it removes all the difficulty in the game of getting anything that requires luck. And it's not just the gas tank, it's mods, it's getting the true friend dog, it's all the skills, all the active skills. It's commonly used by people that don't want to deal with the luck factor. And so you're still playing the game pretty much the way it's intended. You have to do everything, but you just get the best things right away, and there's no waiting. So that's clearing data. And then the fourth way of cheating is just taking advantage of in-game glitches, bugs, and stuff. So exploiting flaws in the game, presumably. So it's hard to know what the developer is doing when they make things that appear to be mistakes, but usually it's pretty obvious that they didn't intend on the wall glitch, the speed glitch, the gun glitch, all the suicide trick. All these different things in the game are basically flaws in the game that the developer messed up on, and you have the option of exploiting it or not. It's up to you. The gains of doing that usually aren't great. It's like nowhere near as beneficial as clearing data. But if you enjoy doing that, that's a way of gaming the system a little bit. So I happen to fall into this fourth category. That's what I do. I enjoy trying to outsmart the game. That's kind of my view on it. I know a lot of people view that as cheating. I understand that point of view, and I kind of agree. I mean, it's hard to know what the developers think. I know the developers are okay with the wall trick. It's been there since day one. They've stated that it's perfectly fine. So it's not something that they intended, but they don't care that it's in there. It's a way for skilled players to take advantage of things that they can figure out. So I like the idea of it personally. There is one trick that I'll have to point out here that is really it's in between clear data and exploiting the game, and that is the logout trick. So this one is kind of it's a gray area. It basically is by logging out of the game the moment you're about to die, or if you're really quick right after you die, you can in effect do a clear data. You are basically resetting the game just a tiny bit so that you don't die. And this doesn't really help out with the RNG. It's just kind of like prevents you from dying. And I have done this. I'll admit I've done this a few times. It always feels bad when I do it. I don't like doing it. Sometimes I'll just take the hit and die, but sometimes it's like, I let somebody play my game sitting next to me and they die, and I'm like, oh, no, I do it real quick, and sometimes I luck out and save everything, and sometimes I don't, but so that's the logout trick. And then the fifth category is people that don't do any of that stuff. They just play the game the way they think that the developer intended it, and that's that. And so, just because you do any of these methods does not mean you suck. It does not mean that you have no skills. There are all kinds of people that do clear data, and they are way, way better at the game than I am. They have all kinds of skills. They're very quick, very smart, very efficient in the game, and they still clear data. They don't want to deal with the grind, or they don't have the time, or they don't care to deal with the disappointment and stuff. So they do the clear data, and they have way more stuff than I do. And there's the jealousy factor there. There's the bragging, which kind of sucks that people do that. I wish people would at least state, yeah, I got all this stuff, but I clear data to get it. And then it's like, but then it's always, I have to be suspicious about what people do, and that kind of stuff. So just because you do any of these things does not mean you don't have any skills. It does not mean you suck. That's completely separate. So now, why is it that Kafir does this stuff? Why does Kafir not make it so you can't clear data? And various people think that they can't do it. Once again, I'm not a technical person, but this doesn't seem very difficult to avoid. And so my theory on this is that they do leave this game in such a way that it is possible to do all these things on purpose, that their goal is to get as many players as they can to play this game. And not everybody wants to play a ridiculously hard grinding game, which is what this is, if you're playing it the most legitimate way that you can play. It is very difficult, it's very time consuming. Not everybody wants to play it that way. They are, whether they state it or not, and they used to state it, and just recently they're starting to change their tune on it, they're perfectly happy with people doing clear data. That brings in a ton of more players. Not everybody that clear data doesn't pay. A lot of them still pay. They don't care. They'll pay for things. Things will come out. They're still spending money. And that's something I'll have to get into next, is pay to win. But they'll spend money just the same as people that don't clear data. So they bring in a wide variety of different types of players, people that are willing to play the game at the levels that they enjoy. And so that brings me to my main theory on cheating, and that is that cheating is something that is designed with them to make the game, like most games are today. It is selecting which mode of game you're playing. Are you playing the easy mode, the normal mode, or the hard mode? And I would say if you're in the 4th, 5th category, you're playing the game the way it's intended to be. You're playing in hard mode. This is a very hard game. If you're clear dataing, you're kind of playing more of a normal to easy mode. And obviously if you're modding or whatever, then you're playing ultra easy mode. But it's kind of a way to select the type of game you want to play, because you can play it different ways depending on what you do. And depending on your time, and that's what people do when they're developing games nowadays. They know not everybody has the time or the interest to play the really hard version. They want to experience the game, but they don't want to have to work too hard at it, so they make an easy mode. And that's kind of a pretty cool way of designing the game, and it's not stated that way, and nobody talks about it that way, but that's my view on how it's done. Okay, and so then the only other thing is, of course, to mention pay to win. This isn't, people debate whether or not this is a pay to win game, and it is, it isn't, and they just did this, they've turned into pay to win. Obviously, this game survives on being a pay-to-win type model. You have to pay money if you want to not have to deal with things. I mean, obviously, if you're modding, then maybe not so much. But if lots of people get hooked on games like this, and they'll spend thousands of dollars, and it's kind of like good for me because that funds the development. So I don't really like that model. The way that this game should be done is it should be a pay-to-play type of thing where you pay $5 a month to play the game, and then there isn't any pay-to-win kind of things. It's still kind of a standalone version, but as this game becomes more multiplayer, it really sucks that games are just so grossly unfair that they allow people to be the best by spending more money. You're paying basically like a modder. You're like paying money to the developer to hack into your game and give you things you don't deserve. So it's not much different than you downloading an APK file or whatever and giving yourself the things you didn't deserve. But at the same time, it funds the game. So it's not a very good model. I don't like it. If it was just simply pay to play, they could make the game fair and balanced, and everybody has to work for the things they got, and that's the way it should be. I don't know why people don't make those models. It just seems to make the most perfect sense to me. $5 a month, and then sell things in the game that don't affect the fairness of the game. Like you want the cool chopper pattern, and it's kind of the way I believe Fortnite works. You want things that don't really affect the game but look cool. You can pay more money, and they will make tons of money if they simply had that kind of model. And the game would be more enjoyable. It would be more fair for everybody. So I wish they would go that route, but nowadays you can spend $100 and buy a steel room that took me 2 months of really hard work to make, and it just makes the game less enjoyable when it's not an even playing field. So that's kind of my view on pay to win. So I guess that's about it. I hope you got something out of that, and feel free to leave a comment. I'm sure I'll get a lot of dislikes whenever I talk about cheating or hacking or whatever. People are like, yeah, screw you, guy. But, I have kind of a positive view on it. It's not, just because you do these things, it doesn't mean you suck. So that's kind of my take on it. And all right, guys, I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.